Hello, this is a quick tutorial to step the operator through the Multisizer software for the purpose of creating an SOP. Remember, an SOP really is two pieces of information. It is an SOM, which is a standard operating method, or how you set the instrument up to take the measurement, and a preference file, which is how you set up the software to report the data after the measurement. So without any further ado, we're going to create an SOP. First thing we're going to do is create an SOM by clicking on the SOP. Come down to the Create SOM wizard. There's going to be 9 steps. First thing you do is you're going to set up the first box, which is description box. We'll set the description up to 10 micron demo. That'll be the name of it. The critical pieces here are the 100 micron aperture, or the aperture of choice for you. So select it from the drop down menu. We only have one in there at this time. And the electrolyte, which is isoton 2 typically. Hit the next button. Now we're going to set up the control mode. This is how you set up the measurement. You're going to set it based on time. This one says 20 seconds. Based on volume, which is defaults to 500 microliters. Total count, which this one is set up to 1,000 particles. Or modal count, which is the highest bin, set up to 100 particles. We're going to set ours to time. Hit next. Now we go to the run settings screen. Simply, we're going to set up the save file. It's going to save it into default folder, and we're going to view size. Those are the only 2 elements we need to set up here. Hit next. Here is the stir settings. Now this is where you have your option of setting up the beaker size, which is 100, 200, or 400 milliliters, or an AccuVet. In our case, we're going to use a 200 milliliter beaker, and we also can set up the stir. If you want to use the stir, you simply click on Use Stir. You set up the speed and the direction, which is clockwise, and then you put the stir position automatically, which means it'll automatically move over to put it in the correct position for the 200 milliliter beaker. Hit Next. This is the threshold current and gain. We're really not going to change anything here. We know we have a 100 micron aperture selected, as you can see here. We know the smallest size that you can see is going to be 2 micron, and it defaults to 2. The aperture, current, and preamp gain are preset to the correct values, so here we're just going to hit Next. Then the pulse to size settings screen defaults to 300, which is your resolution. It shows you again from 2 to 60 micron, which is 2 to 60% of the aperture size. In our case, the aperture size is 100 micron. So again, 2% is 2 micron, 60% is 60 micron. And we're going to leave it with bin spacing at log diameter. Hit Next. This is concentration information. At this particular time, we're going to leave it in the volume amount. And that is the only parameter we need to set in this screen for creating this demo. In step 8 of 9, we have the 100 micron aperture. Time is set to 20 seconds, and this is the blockage setup. So this is a feature within the Multisizer that allows you the instrument to detect a blockage. If there's some sort of an impediment in front of the aperture hole, then it'll detect that it can't get a correct flow, and so it'll automatically go into a blockage reverse function, which actually flushes fluid backwards through the aperture to try to dislodge that impediment, and then reflushes the system, and then sometimes it'll, depending on what the setting is, it'll restart the measurement automatically, or allow the operator to do that. Hit Next. We're not going to set up anything in the blockage setup. Now we are at the summary of settings. You simply can walk through all the previous settings that you just set up in steps 1 through 8. Here's a review screen. We're going to hit Save. We are going to save this one as 10 micron demo .som. File type is there. This is where we're going to save it. You hit Save, and it's done. Now we're going to select a preference file. Preference file, again, is how you're going to report the data. For the purpose of this demo, we're going to, you can edit the current preferences by simply going to SOP, clicking on Edit Preferences, and here are all the preferences that you can select from printed report, statistics, and all these results range, total amount, mean, size, median, mode, standard deviation, coefficient of variation, etc. There's lots of things to choose from. For our purpose of our demonstration, we're going to select the default preference file, which comes with the software. So we're going to cancel out of there. Since the preference file is already done, now we're basically going to go select the SOM and the preference file to create our SOP. Click on SOP, hit Create SOP Wizard, SOP description, we're going to call it 10 micron demo. Author is going to be BFB, who is me. Hit Next, select an SOM file. So we're going to select 10 micron demo. We just created that. Hit Open. Next, we're going to select a preference file. Remember I said default preferences. Click on that one. Hit Open, and it shows you again the one you selected. Hit Next, and now it gives you the review screen again for the summary of the settings. We hit Save, and now we're going to save this file name as 10 micron demo, and the file type is SOP. Hit Save, and now you're done. Next step for you to run your control demo is to hit Load SOP, select 10 micron demo, hit Open, and now all those features and parameters that you set up in the SOM and the preference file are all enabled and ready to run. You simply press Start after you get your control set up, which we're going to go through in another video, and you're good to go.